Good evening, ladies and menfolk. Welcome to episode 70 of Word Ninjas Live. We all made it through November, through NaNoWriMo and everything else that life tossed at us somehow. Well, theoretically all of us did. We are missing a few of our crew members due to various life reasons, but that is normal. As always, I'm your instigator of literary insanity. No productivity this time round, just insanity, Charles. And joining me, as usual, is Will.
Hello.
Calvin.
Greetings, everyone.
And our special guest for the evening, Richie.
Hi. I think I'm probably even worse down that road of insanity and not getting things done than you are, sir. So this will be interesting.
You might be in good company. I haven't really looked at the productivity segment.
Well, I mean, as far as shows go, as far as like the actual live shows, like us on the Fairy Tale podcast and stuff, yeah, I contribute to madness and mayhem. Behind the scenes, I can't believe I worked this hard to be this broke.
You're not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're in pretty good company there.
But as I will be explaining throughout the show tonight, I'm working to change that. I'm working to fix that.
Yes, Richie is on tonight because he has a fancy new project that has kind of pulled in all sorts of people lately.
Include the people that are currently on the show, actually.
2 out of the 3.
2 out of the 3. I'm not doing too bad. Will, I'll find something for you, I swear. Got a secondary side project that could use an editor's hands as well. So there we go. As far as writing goes, who knows if whenever we finally get everything up and running to get an Indiegogo campaign and it does well, who knows, we may be able to hire on some more people and start some more stuff. I'm being so vague about this. I don't know why.
Well, because some of those projects haven't really kicked off yet, but
well, I can go into further detail about that and everything. But yeah, questions have to be asked before that. Otherwise, it's just me talking, and that's just boring.
So officially, this new biggest project, at least it seems like, your new manga.
Yeah, we're making our own original manga series, or actually, it says on my lower third OTP manga, which isn't the name of any specific manga. That's just the name of like the group that we formed that is making manga. Hi Hank, how are you doing? But
kind of like how this is the Word Ninjas podcast, but it's run by full coverage writers.
Mm-hmm. In the same way, but it's it's a rather ambiguous undertaking. I like when I get to use big words. Yay. But basically the project is this. We make manga, and it can be any different form. We're not tied down to one specific one. So it's not like, a Suei where you've got Shonen Jump and Seinen Jump, and it's primarily for boys. OTP manga, we are fans of all different types of manga. And having been fans for so long, we decided, even though we love consuming this market, we want to actually create something and contribute and give something back. And, we'd like to at least be able to pay our bills and buy food while doing that. So that's part of why we're like, hey, we're not putting it all out for free. But when I say it's an ambitious undertaking, I mean, not only are we having to write this and draw it and put it up online, but we're also talking about scoring it, which is where Calvin comes in, and then dubbing it, which is where we're going to start getting, we're in the process of actually turning the story that we've put together so far into dialogue, a script format for voiceover. And we've got some in-house voiceover people that we've talked to who are very talented that we're going to bring on. And then that gets mixed down together, which, again, is where Calvin comes in. Because he's more or less he is our audio engineer. That is the official title. And Charles comes in a bit earlier on, usually after about the 6th or 7th draft of a chapter, because we go through a lot. That's the wonderful thing I've learned about working on Google Documents is the whole process is streamlined so well. It goes through so fast, all the work that gets done on typing it in, and usually within a couple of days we've gone through about 6 drafts, and then about that time it's like I'm like, okay, Charles, go ahead and take a look. He is our senior editor. That is the appropriate title.
And then, like 2 weeks later, I finally actually look at it, mark it up.
and that's usually when I get stuff in the email that says 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's like one email, but it's got a number beside it, and it's usually like 10 or 20, and I'm like, okay, so he's finally gone through, and I have to go and open up docs, and I mean, we try really, really hard to fix a lot of the grammar mistakes that we have on there, but they always squeak through, which is why it's good to have a senior editor as well to go through and make sure that there's not a bunch of typos and stuff. But also, by the time we get to about the 4th draft is when I have to read it aloud to the other creative writers, because we have 2 creative writers on the project, and the lead writer, which is me. And after we've gone through our initial, by the 4th draft, I have to start reading it aloud and see, hey, does this word work? Can you actually say that out loud pretty easily? And sometimes, dialogue doesn't sound right for like a specific character or things like that. And we'll either change that, or that's when you definitely start noticing typos in dialogue. I usually catch the ones in dialogue. It's just the ones that aren't in dialogue that we end up getting caught in with Charles, because I'm not really reading those. I'm reading dialogue. But yeah, it's a rather large undertaking, as unfortunately several of our artists have found out. We've gone through 3 artists now because it's a rather large project, and it's not that they were bad or that we didn't get along or anything. It's just that they didn't have the time for that. There's either work or school or family that makes it to where they don't have as much time to invest in this project as they'd like to, or they realize how big of an undertaking and how much, if it does well and it takes off, how long of a period of their life this could take up. And so it's definitely not for the casual artist. This is a thing that we're wanting to go on for quite some time, and we want this to become someone's living. Like, this is how I'd be glad to take a starving artist and make them not so starving anymore, especially if it does well. But the project that we're working on right now, we have one manga called Infinity's Light, and that's the one that we're all working on. It's kind of I say it's seinen mostly because once we really start getting started, because we've only got a certain amount of chapters put down, but pretty soon you're going to start seeing just how much seinen it really is. Right now it feels very shonen, but we're going to go full seinen very soon. So it may go back and forth between seinen and shonen at points. And yeah, I don't know what else to say on that particular portion. But I mean, it's not like we just want to do one manga series. We've got another one set up in the works that's shoujo, that we just got a lead writer for. I'm gonna be just kind of basically manga editing it, so I'm not even involved in the story process. It's once I look over the storyboards and I make my little critiques and things. Once that happens, that's what a manga editor would traditionally do in Japan, especially if they're confident in that person's art. They'll look at the storyboard. So in Japan they just call them names, nemu. But usually for first timers you have to bring in a full manuscript, but we're not even sure we can pull that off right now because we're still looking for artists. I have a meeting with an artist tonight, actually, So always on the lookout for more of those. And best case scenario, what we're looking at is trying to have a lead character artist who does all the characters and knows the characters inside and out because they've drawn them so many different ways, shapes, and forms, and then having at least 3 assistants to do backgrounds and stuff like that. The cool part is like what the Indiegogo is going towards is actually getting programs that we desperately need for art, which would be manga studio,
And
and
you
it's a
don't want to
great
just
program.
sketch it out all on paper, every single panel?
Well, it's not just that. There's also there's a lot of inking and toning, and then there's also actual traditional painting that goes in there, and then you have to put in like when you put in the tones, like physically putting in the tones takes so long. But the way that Manga Studio is actually set up, you can actually get all your tones, and you can actually use like the magic wand tool like you would use in Photoshop and apply specific tones just like how an actual manga would look. And instead of that taking like a crap ton of time because you have to lay it down there and then you have to cut away and make sure, because like clothing for one panel can sometimes take anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes depending on the panel, just with the tones. But the way that it's set up in Manga Studio now, you could get an entire page toned in 5 minutes.
Bit of a difference.
Quite a bit of a difference. So there's a reason for that, and we want to get the extended version because it comes with so many. It comes with all the bells and whistles, but when I say bells and whistles to everybody else, they're like, "Oh, the fancy shiny bits." I'm like, "No, these are the insanely necessary tools that we need because they come with all the different brush types and all the different toning types and inking types that we desperately need." And it has a panel layout, like it will have specific settings so that you like if you want to make the layout for like certain pages, like you want a big one up here and then like 4 mini panels on the bottom, you can actually have that saved and set up for like any chapters that you think might need them, so you can go ahead and style out your own panel layouts and stuff like that. So it's really, really good, but unfortunately the price difference between Manga Studio 5 and Manga Studio 5 Extended is quite a bit. Manga Studio 5 is $49.99, while Manga Studio 5 Extended is $209. I know that sounds ridiculous, but the bells and whistles, after going through and looking at all the tutorials and stuff for how people actually use this, it's necessary. Like, I sat there and watched that, and I was like, yeah, I see why. I now see why there's such a huge price difference between the two.
That's why I've invested in Adobe Creative Suite for all sorts of various endeavors that we're doing here, because it's, for the most part, one of the best programs to use for a lot of the stuff we need to do,
right?
Even with the price.
And on top of that, there's also like the physical products that we would need for like artists and any upgrades that Calvin would need in his studio hardware that he might require. And then eventually, paying people for all the work that they've done already, because some of us have been working on this project for almost a year entirely pro bono. Like, we're not getting paid for what we do right now.
I know that feeling.
That's usually the scariest part about asking an artist to jump in on this, is like they want to get paid for their work immediately. And I'm like, we can't do anything until we have the Indiegogo campaign, and at the very least, nobody's going to want to fund a project if they don't already have something there. Like, we would need character design, concept art, at least just something to show them, hey, we've been working on this. I'd like to have at least a rough storyboard drawn up for the first chapter, and then have like just kind of a couple of clips of music that we could throw in there with the voiceover, so that just to give people an idea of, hey, this is where we're at so far, but we need your help to make it insanely better. Because a lot of crowdsourcing stuff, you definitely want to show them, hey, we can get it up to this level right now, but we're trying to reach higher and we need your help. That's usually how some of the best crowdsourcing things happen.
Or at least the
And
effective ones.
yeah, the effective ones. And I know, having been in the anime and manga community for well over a decade and going to conventions for a long time, I know this is a thing that fans would really get behind. And again, it's not just limited to one series either. Like, if you think you've got an interesting idea for a manga series, you're more than welcome to type up a synopsis or type up some chapters or something and send us an email at otpmanga@gmail.com. And we're happy to take on more projects. It's just right now we're trying to just get something started, just start up. Hopefully, if things go well, I'd like to be able to say that OTP Manga has like a variety of at least 5 or more manga series going on at the same time, and they all go up on our channel in different playlists for the different series. Ideally, it'd be awesome if we could do this as a weekly run, but I mean, it all depends on if we can get the manpower. And we don't want people to feel overworked. Like, poor Calvin, I wouldn't want him working on 5 different series at once, doing all the audio work for 5 different series. That'd be crazy. But
Oh,
I
like
mean,
he's not doing something like that already.
yeah, it's not like that. But I don't want to overtax people.
That's my job.
Yeah, that's his job. My job is basically to write one series and then direct the voiceover for it as well. So at the end of the day, I'm the director for the project, and I'll be doing the video editing until we can find a video editor, which is another thing we'll need, because my skills are okay, but I need better than okay for this project eventually.
So how many people have you kind of pulled in at this point?
On which project? On which manga? Just Infinity Light.
How about within OTP manga in general?
Oh Jesus! Now you're talking about 2 manga projects.
You can give a ballpark number just to get.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm trying to get right now. Let's see. Not counting voiceover people who we haven't cast yet. We've got somewhere around the neighborhood of 8 to 10 people all involved right now.
That's a decent group. And about twice the size of what we have on our crew.
Well, when I was editing episode 35, I kind of got a lot of inspiration on that. I was like, wait, let me see if I can contact Calvin. Wait, is Sheep available? And you were like, Calvin's available, Sheep is not. And I was like, sadness, the artist.
I mean, you can give her a shot, but I have a pretty good idea the kind of language she'll use in her response right now.
No. Well, if it's Latin, I can only understand like 5 or 6 words of that. So.
I know she knows Spanish, but I don't know about Latin.
Oh well, with Spanish, I can just get Naru to translate. So we should be. Toma.
I want one.
Yeah. If you haven't checked it out, you can follow us on Twitter at OTP Manga, and we've actually posted some early concept art of some of the characters and our animal mascot, which is just. Apparently, our mascot has captured the hearts of everybody that's been involved with the project. If you've ever been involved with the project, we've explained what our mascot is, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!" It's ranged to I want one, I need one, or I need to score that right now. It's like it's all been, and that's basically been the reaction. So we're very, very happy with the response from everybody that's been working on it so far with our mascot character. And there will be many of them because they're a race of animals. And yeah, but I mean, for the Indiegogo campaign, we're still working out the perks. The ones that we definitely know beyond the shadow of a doubt that we do have. Let me go into my files real quick on my computer. Be faster. Yes, be faster. Word is going to take forever to set stuff up. I had to go into my OTP manga folder that I have. Yeah, it comes with its own folder because there's so much stuff right now. Thankfully, all the writing is on docs and not just sitting on my hard drive. That would be annoying. The things that we actually have 100% are, well, obviously, the minimal amount is you get a thank you. But a personalized thank you, video thank you from the cast.
And all of a sudden, everything froze for me.
Can you still see me? Hear me?
I can hear you. I can see
Hello.
Will moving about, and you're back.
Okay. Where did I die off at?
Video thank you.
Okay, personalized video thank you. Then we've got another setup, like depending on how much you donate, you could have a special thanks mentioned as in the credits, and obviously more than that, your name will be in the credits as a producer. One-on-one voice coaching with the directors, if there are multiple. Limited edition art signed by the artist. Inside the writer's room, you can jump on Skype and hang out with us as we are writing a chapter, but you're not allowed to tell anybody about what that chapter is about. Which is really funny because, like, writing the chapter is it'll be like a 2.5-hour conversation in which we'll actually talk about the chapter for maybe 30-45 minutes. The rest of it's just nonsensical BS, as per usual.
Sounds just like us.
You might get, yeah, exactly. Minor character named after a contributor. Contributor's very own character.
Presumably within understandable lore and reasonable limits.
Special producer package. Early issue of chapters in beta and character. And if we surpass our goal, and I've already talked to our audio engineer about this, and he's good with that. If we actually end up surpassing our goal, which we're still trying to figure out what that's going to be, because we have to draw up a grocery list or a shopping list of all of the particular software and hardware that we need, and then once that's been tallied up, how much each person would like to actually get paid, and then how much it's going to cost to buy, like, because we're going to make T-shirts, but we don't know what the design's going to be just yet. So once we have all that figured out and tallied, we know that we can pay everybody, and we can get everybody the stuff that they donated for, and all that jazz, and we're able to afford all this and pay people for the hard work they've done already. That will, if we surpass that goal, we're going to actually put up a couple of tracks from the soundtrack that we get once it's completed. We'll put those up on SoundCloud for 2 weeks for absolutely free. That's another thank you from us. We will have certain perks for if we actually surpass our goal. We want to have those. But yeah.
If it's at the same level as the music that Calvin already has up on SoundCloud, I want it now.
Well, I already gave Calvin access to view some of the chapters that are out. At least chapter 1, I definitely wanted him to go ahead and read that so he could get some ideas and some inspiration. And then when he comes up with stuff and he uploads it for us to check it out, we can leave like little notes and stuff. We plan on having meetings weekly with our audio engineer up until like we finally kick off all the dust and get started on the for real stuff next year. Once it gets to the point where, like, okay, we've got an artist locked in, we've got all the programs that we need, blah de blah de blah, Yeah, once it gets to that point. But yeah. Then will be those meetings will be a lot more common, probably 3, maybe 4 times a week. Yeah. Look forward to that, Calvin. I'm sure you do.
It's going to be a process, but it's definitely going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I actually am looking forward to that.
Hmm.
Seems like
Especially
20. No, go ahead.
especially because he's gonna have to sit in on all the voiceover sessions as well, because as the audio engineer and the guy that's putting it all together and mixing it, he's going to need to be able to give advice and stuff too from the engineer standpoint, not just the director standpoint. It'd be like, hey, that was a little too loud. You overloaded your stuff. Could you tone it and bring it back down a notch? And I'm like, but it was so good. The emotion I needed, but not the volume he did.
Just as long as there's little, like very little clipping, we should be okay.
It's one of those points where he's like, hey, you just redlined. Please stop that. I know some terms. I don't know a lot, but I know some just from doing editing a podcast for 5 years. And now I'm back on the wagon.
There's no escape.
You had a question, I believe.
No, I was just going to make a comment that it seems like your 2015 is going to be just as chaotic and productive as our 2015.
But it's going to be oh so much fun. Oh, so much
definitely.
Fun.
I feel it's definitely going to make up for 2014.
I have not had this much fun. I have not had this much fun writing in a long, long time. I'm very enthusiastic when I'm typing it out. Like, sometimes, because I'll be typing out some of the ideas, getting to some of the ideas, and I'm like, how do I connect this idea to this idea? And then I come up with an idea that, like, of how to bridge them, and I'm all grins while I'm typing this out. I'm like, oh my god, yeah. And then they do this, and then they do that, and it's so much fun for me to do this, and I haven't felt that in a very long time. Most of my typing is like, and I don't get a chance to actually be very creative with my writing, and now I get to be again. And I mean, the crazy part is like trying to put down rules for this world, these settings that we're putting these characters in, rules and laws for the characters, the way everything works. Obviously, there's magic in it, so how do you take the magical element? What are some of the rules and laws of magic in that universe? Blah blah blah. It's becoming really exciting because you have to build a world, and just a little tidbit for people who might be excited or interested about this that are checking this out. It involves parallel universes. So just when we've got everything established and you think you understand it, we go to a new universe and a new planet, and now we have to make everything, like, we have to explain all those rules and laws and come up with everything all over again. Even if it doesn't actually show up in the manga, you can guarantee that we sat down and actually had to sit there and think about, well, what can they and what can't they do in this realm, blah, blah, blah. Like, we had to sit there and go into great detail, but obviously we don't want to do that much detail in the manga because we don't want to bore our readers to death. But a lot of thought and planning goes into every world that we end up going to, and there will be a lot of multiple worlds. And multiple species. It's not purely human. That's the fun part. What if there's a world where the dominant species is humanoid, but it's not human? Like, what if shrimp became the dominant species on the planet? We haven't written that, but that sounds awesome.
Sounds like Zoidberg.
It sounds like Zoidberg. Yes, a world made entirely of ramen. Naru will not be able to stop reading that chapter. But yeah.
She'd be the one to write that chapter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It sounds like a very fevered dream of hers.
What has it been like trying to coordinate with multiple writers on one story?
Um, Surprisingly, not nearly as exhausting as I thought it was going to be. Especially since I came into the project uh, a bit later because originally I was working on the shoujo and I was trying to get people to come up with ideas. I needed creative writers and I had a couple, but I couldn't like there was a problem with scheduling and stuff. We could never get together and like actually work on it. So I was like, okay, I throw my hands up. I'm going to go work on the other one, and they gave me the premise and the idea, and they hadn't really written much up. And I was like, well, give me some of your ideas that we have. And one thing that they did have was a set of characters that they'd had fleshed out, and then building off of their ideas and coming up with ideas that I thought might also help and kind of flesh out the story a little bit more or come up with new characters and stuff like that. A lot of our meetings actually consist of us just coming up with characters and how the world works. And we did this for several weeks before we even started typing the first paragraph. And then by the time I started typing the first paragraph, like I realized I'd started writing the lore of the characters and what they were there for just in the first giant paragraph. And every time I type something up new, I have both of the creative writers because I came into their project. This isn't something that we all started together. If it'd been we all started together, I'd be like, okay, I typed this, yeah. Um, Let me know if it's interesting. But no, they are the creators of this world, and I'm just kind of explaining it through story. And every time I type something up new, I have both of them check on it to make sure that it doesn't conflict with what they had initially. Sometimes it will conflict with what they have, but usually it's in a way where they were like, actually, I like this idea more. Sometimes I get away with it. Sometimes I'm asked to tone back, but it's kind of it's a little bit more of a give and take. But it's not nearly as difficult as I originally thought it was going to be. It's actually been uh, a blessing because a lot of the a lot of what I love doing is taking ideas that are existing and building upon them. I like that kind of style of writing more than just trying to sit down and create everything from fresh stock. I definitely needed to have creative writers with me because it's we build off of each other. In a lot of our meetings, we'll actually build off of each other. Like Caleb will come up with a crazy idea that we didn't think of, and we're like, "Oh man, that's so cool!" But what if they were like this? And then everybody's ideas kind of build, and we'll sometimes they'll be a little far-fetched and fantastical, and those are mostly mine, and they have to get thrown out. But eventually, we'll start building and building and building, and then like 30 minutes later, we've created a world, and it's like, holy crap, how did we do this? Looking back, we're like, man, that is so cool. I don't know how we pulled it off, but that was awesome. And then what's really cool is Caitlin's usually taking and typing down most of this stuff, and by the time that we're done, she'll go over everything, and we'll start picking apart what does and doesn't work, and or rearranging something so that it fits better. And then we'll have taken and created a world, and then we will have formed that world through the minor edits of the plot points. But generally, that's just for creating a world and introducing new characters. And introducing new characters is usually a really fun thing for us. But if we're talking about a world that we've already established and characters that you've already met, then at that point in time, it's kind of just plot progression. What do we need to do in chapter A, and especially with arcs, because we're starting out with a lot of arcs. We've got like a 2-chapter arc starting in chapter 4, and then in chapter 6 we've got an arc that could very well carry on to chapter 10 or 11. So it's going to be some of those times we'll get like little break moments, and then sometimes we may get like a giant arc which could take up to 20 chapters. You never know, but we have to know at certain points we have to know, hey, here's this arc we can do. Okay, we know what's going to happen in chapter 1 and chapter 3 and chapter 5, but how do we get from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5? So we have to go on a chapter by chapter synopsis. So we have to do our own kind of rough storyboard of words going from a chapter to chapter basis.
All right. Does anyone have any last questions for Richie? Or do you have any last comments you'd like to wrap up with in regards to your new endeavor?
I hope it works. I hope there's actually a lot of enthusiasm from the public. Well, especially obviously the nerdy community, the anime and manga community. I hope there's a lot of excitement around the project because everybody that's worked on it is really, really excited about that. But I mean, we tend to know a lot more information about what's going to be happening as opposed to the general public. But I love the concept of just having manga that we're putting up online for free. We're going to be putting it up on YouTube. It's not going to be motion comic really per se. Like, I mean, we will be moving panels and stuff and in kind of a directorial way, and it will have a soundtrack, and it will have background audio, and it will have a dub track placed on it, so you'll get to hear the character voices. It's kind of like if you took a manga, but you gave it the full audio treatment of an anime, in that kind of regard. Again, if anybody,
I'm sorry, but I think that's partially what excited me about this project.
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah. But it doesn't. I mean, obviously, you want your story and your art and everything to be good for that. But just that concept alone, I think, gets a lot of people excited, especially at any of the panels that we've done for our Making Manga panel. It's really been a lot of fun to do that.
Like, it's a unique way of going about that. Like, really definitely.
If you haven't checked it out, if nobody has checked it out, I would seriously suggest checking out a series called Bakuman, because that's where I initially got that concept. It's about these two kids that make manga, and at different points throughout the series, you'll actually get to see some of the manga actually that is being made, even if it's just like a rough storyboard, and that storyboard will have, like, you'll see it, it'll have people doing the voiceover for the characters in the story. It'll have narration dialogue, and then that is also dubbed, and it has the music from the actual anime and the backtrack. And that's initially where I got that, and I was like, why aren't people doing this now? This is so awesome. And it's like even though I know it's all still images, I'm pulled in. I'm super excited. It's like it's got all the same elements that I would normally have in an anime, but it's like still captured images. So it's so cool. I can't believe
you have so many of your senses like activated during the while everything is going.
I feel it's a lot more. I feel it's a lot more engaging. Like as popular as series like Naruto was, which just ended. Just imagine like if the voice cast, whether it's dubbed or subbed, the voice cast for Naruto was actually saying all the dialogue that's actually in the manga as you're reading it. And of course, we're gonna have a version available where it's just the comic format, in case you just want to read at your own pace. That's fine. We're gonna put that up online as well. Yay!
Cool.
We haven't figured out specifically where, but we do have some ideas. Sorry.
Well, if our viewers and listeners want to check out the progress, and depending on how far in the future they're listening to this, it may have already started, where could they potentially track you down or track down where all this is happening?
Currently, the best way to track any kind of progress or updates that we're currently making would be our Twitter handle, @OTPManga on Twitter. We do have a YouTube channel, but there's nothing on it at the moment that this is being broadcast. But we will eventually. We want our Indiegogo project to kind of be the first thing that we put up on our YouTube page, but you can look up OTP Manga on there, and I mean, if you want to subscribe early before anything's posted, you're more than welcome to. We don't mind early stuff. But eventually, yeah, we hope to do Q&A videos and stuff like that with writers and artists and maybe some tutorials as well. Just kind of all sorts of different interesting things, as well as just putting up the manga. We definitely want to be very interactive with any of the fans of any of our manga series. And hey, if you want us at a convention eventually, that would be nice too. We would like that. And we can meet some of you guys in person, talk with you guys, find out what you like, find out what you don't like. I wonder how many hate messages we're gonna get. And we're like, I hate your manga, it's so stupid. I'm like, hey. I'm just curious to see if any trolls will actually come up and say it to my face. That's what I'm really curious about.
I think most of them know better by now.
I love that. I love that certain trolls were taught a lesson on the internet this week. They were apparently a bunch of trolls who were like kids, like 15 and such, were basically sending death and rape threats to this female video game journalist. And what she did was she saw their names and she ended up going and contacting their mothers on Facebook and showing them screen prints of what they'd said to her. And I was like, oh, that's hilarious. Troll all you want on the internet, but she'll tell your mom. Oh, that's the best, man. That's the best.
Well, I'm sure it did the trick for them, too.
That, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go beat his ass.
Alright, I think it's about time we roll into the talkie points for this episode. We have two of them for the moment. The first one being, well, it's December, which means November has wrapped up, which means that NaNoWriMo 2014 is over. So it's time to talk about how people fared, at least in regards to those that participated in any way, shape, or form. Some of them are not on this episode, so we'll have to hear back from them next week. I know Justin's tale is going to be all sorts of interesting in regards to that. But in regards to myself, last Wednesday I was about 20,000 words behind on the goal, and there was minimal hope in sight because I just didn't care. I was willing to give up. This was not the year to win or hit 50,000 because life and work. So be it. And then I spent over 12 hours at a coffee shop on Friday and wrote 12,000 words. And then I was at 42,000. No, 40,000. So I only had 10K to go with 2 days to go. And then I wrote only 2,000 on Saturday, and then I ended up saying, well, I'm only 8,000 there. How can I not do this at this point? And then I finished 8,000 words within 4 hours at the final write-in with about 10 minutes to go before the write-in ended. So I officially defeated Nano, even though I rebelled and compiled all of my 50,000 words from all of the pieces I worked on that entire month. I do not have a 50,000 word novel. I have 50,000 words amongst a half dozen different pieces that I've been working on. But I still call that a win because I've already defeated Nano several times, officially. I've done a 100,000 word year before. I have nothing left to prove. I don't care.
Yo, I still don't know how you. I still can't figure out how you survived through that 100,000 word month.
You were there for that too, I think. I think that was still in college.
Wait, was that still in? Yeah.
Was it?
I don't believe it was.
No,
Was
I wasn't
after.
ML at that point, so
Yeah.
it must have been before second college then, because there's no way that would have happened at the same time. I have a memory, I swear. But yeah, officially I defeated Nano because I say so. A lot of those projects are not done by any means, but I made a lot more progress on them than I would have otherwise, so yay. has Will had a chance to tally up even a ballpark range of words written in November, by any chance?
Between finishing Clash of the Storms and writing the chapter of My Roommate the Stripper, I wrote 13,914 words.
That's not too shabby.
No. I made my goal of finishing Clash of the Storms and getting out a chapter of Roommate, though.
As long as you hit your goals, that's really what matters.
That was my goal.
It's more the mindset of just getting the stuff done rather than talking about it.
My stuff got done.
Yay.
And now I get to write the Christmas special chapter this month.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yay, Christmas.
Chris Mahana Kwanzaa?
No, I'm just going to go with Christmas. All I will say is that for anyone who read the last chapter, Maxine will have a better Christmas than she did at Thanksgiving.
Yay. Hopefully.
Any kind of family dinner for her never goes well.
I think a lot of us can empathize with that. How did Calvin fare during November as our resident cheerleader?
Most of November was spent doing lots, little bit of music and a lot of editing. Like, you have no clue how happy I am to have that Minecraft video done. Like, seriously.
For our viewers and listeners, what Minecraft video?
So we have, excuse me, we semi-regularly get together and
We need to semi-regularly do it again.
yes, we semi-regularly get together and build random fun things in Minecraft, and sometimes we remember to record it. So me and Will had a fun little endeavor several months ago where we put together an abandoned underwater automaton factory. So I've managed to whittle that adventure down into a 4-part series, the first of which went live on Monday, and I will be releasing subsequent episodes following Mondays. I believe we can put a link to the to part 1 on the show notes.
Yes.
But that was, even though it was nerve-wracking and incredibly arduous to put together, it was actually a lot of fun, and I'm really happy with how it came out.
I've only seen the first part because I haven't gotten any teasers or previews whatsoever, and I am impressed and really looking forward to see what else happens.
Up there, like the first part was like just us like really trying to get things off the ground. Like part 3 is where things really get fun.
Part 1 was just us going, where should we build this? And I went, here. Underwater? Yes.
Not
Okay.
to mention, how do we build it? Because there is stuff in the way, like water and sand.
We figured out something.
Yes. Yes, you did.
Something very effective.
Mm.
You should check out that video to see what it was.
I am editing the... Oh, God, no. Right, I'll type that out rather than copy and paste. I'm editing the official show notes on the website, but it's being silly.
Oh.
So November was primarily excessive amounts of editing and whatnot.
Yes. Just editing, had a bit of creativity going. Some lyric writing, some music ideas thrown together. I made it work.
And if the spinny wheel stops spinning, it means it's updated. So on fcwriters.com for this episode's show notes, it'll show up under the talkie points. So you can check out episode 1. Or
Awesome.
at least the link to episode 1 is there. I didn't put it in line. And for our viewers and listeners, by all means, post in the comments accordingly how your November fared. If you participated in NaNoWriMo, did you hit 50,000 words? Did you hit your goal? How did it all end up? Let us know. And then back to the show notes. The other talkie point that I tossed in while trying to figure out what to talk about for tonight's episode, considering the holiday seasons are upon us, whether we want to admit it or not, I thought we'd bring up the topic again of what do creative people enjoy as gifts, and what do creative people give for gifts? Because some of us are a little more quirky than others, so you never quite know what you're going to get. Thought it would be an interesting topic to toss to the group to see what people's responses happen to be.
This should be a fun one.
And it's an open discussion. I'm not going to call out on people unless everyone is silent.
Oh, I'm a materialistic weasel. I want an Xbox One.
No PS4.
If we're, or that too, I don't care. I want a next-gen console.
How
I'll
about
take
a
a Wii
Wii
U.
U?
Yeah, I'll take one. I'll take one of those too. Dude, I saw the new Dynasty Warriors Zelda game, Hyrule Warriors.
It is.
I want to play that. I want to play that.
I have it. It is addictive. Frustrating, but addictive.
Oh, Jelly. Also, I love that Link is in Mario Kart 8. I want to see Link's death stare. That's what I want.
I need to get that DLC.
I was never a Smash Brothers enthusiast, though I know my little brother would be all over my house. If he knew that I had a Wii U with Smash Bros, he would come over and just own me. So that's that. Yeah, we might go back and forth on the Mario Kart circuit, but like he would straight out own me in Smash Bros. I have no reservations about that. No illusions.
The new Smash Bros is actually pretty tough. I have it, and it ain't easy. I don't know if it's just the weird controls with the gamepad.
Yeah.
Because it's weird, like, X and Y are both jump.
Oh,
If
God.
you push up on the joystick, it's also jump. And the triggers and bumpers are either block or grab, but it's, for whatever reason, opposite of what my instincts say it should be. So I'm constantly grabbing when I mean to block, and that doesn't go well.
Yeah. No, I have no illusions about how much I will get owned in that game at all. Also, never getting Mario Party ever because that ruins friendships. I have seen the best of friends almost kill each other over that game. That will never happen.
They haven't made a good Mario Party since the N64 days, anyway.
I did not play any of the Mario games for N64. That's actually when I stopped playing Mario. I stuck with Zelda, but I quit Mario. I grew up from Mario, surprisingly, but Zelda will always stay in my heart. Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with I've spent more time playing Zelda games than I did playing Mario games. I mean, Mario games were fun and everything, and I'm not knocking them in any way, shape, or form. I loved them. But the only one that ever like actually consumed any time for me was Super Mario World for Super NES. But I immediately kind of just put that one down and was done with it once I picked up Link to the Past. That stole it. And there's no way Mario 64 could ever have competed with Zelda Ocarina of Time. No, no. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, Ocarina of Time trumps Mario 64. That's just how I put it.
Well, it's true.
Yeah, you're not really going to get an argument out of us. How about that?
Yeah. I don't know. Creative wise, I guess it would be more manga and anime because I actually have to. My addiction is now research. So, like seriously, I could sit there and watch anime and manga and read manga, and it legit is research because I'm sitting there going, okay, because now that I'm coming from a different angle at looking at it, I was reading Trinity 7 today and paying attention to what kind of tones they use, like. Uh, oh, well, this one's different from that one, and what are the background tones here? What are the clothing tones? What are the hair tones? I was paying a lot of attention to that, so it's turned. I mean, I very much enjoy the story. I'm not. I didn't. It's not like I started suddenly not enjoying it because I'm suddenly paying attention to the aspects and the details. But I'm looking at different things, and while I'm reading, I'm sitting there going like, well, how can I apply this to Infinity's Light, or how can I apply that to Infinity's Light? So it's definitely one of those things where you kind of look at many different series, and especially the ones that are starting to gain traction or are very popular, and just looking at them and going, well, why are they that way? And just kind of taking notes and trying to figure out what works so that and how we could utilize this best in our series. So yeah, long story short, anime and manga, I'm good with that. Video games too, yeah.
If you're ever in New York, I'll have to take you to Book Off, which has both American and Japanese manga in large quantities.
I also want to go to that video game store in New York that has like everything. I want to go there. I mean, if we're talking about like vacation destinations, I want to go to Tokyo. Specifically Akihabara. I want to go to the Japanese nerd headquarters. That's where I want to go.
That would be fun.
Otaku Society. Yeah. Once we become like super awesome rich from the manga, because that's totally what's going to happen. We're just going to all take we're just going to all go as a group. Yeah. And fly to Tokyo.
I can't say road trip considering the distances, so how about field trip?
Well, how about yeah. Actually, if we wanted to try and pull it off, I guess with my military ID and everything, I could probably get you guys on a flight out of Fort Lewis on a C-130. So long as you don't mind flying military aircraft, because it's not going to be nearly as comfortable as coach. But it'll be insanely cheaper because I could probably all get you on for $20 a piece. Because all right, here's a funny little fact. When people fly out of Fort Lewis and Washington to go to Korea, the bases in Korea, they actually have to stop off and refuel at Narita Airport in Tokyo, Japan. So you just get off there, go into the airport, leave. And funny enough, no, I shouldn't say this at all because that's bad stuff to say on the internet. I'll tell you guys
Especially
later.
when we're on a live stream.
Well, no, the flight thing, that's not a problem. The thing that I was thinking in my head that I almost said out loud, that would probably be better not said on a live stream. But no, I don't know if I could get you guys on for $20 a head, but I had friends that were like, hey, $20 you can go to Japan. I was like, awesome. Yeah, but you still have to have a passport. Shit. So if you can get a passport, I might be able to get you a ride to Japan for $20.
I think
I wonder if my brother knows.
You still have to have money to afford like a hotel and like any kind of items and stuff that you want to buy and bring back. But yeah.
You're not going to foot the bill entirely for us?
Hell no, I don't have that kind of money. Neither do you.
Yeah.
But I can shave it off by $1,000 or $2, which I'm sure helps a lot.
Yeah, every bit helps.
Because I think it's like $1,200 or $1,500 for a flight per person. Yeah, that's how that works. We're just catching a ride that's already going there anyway.
I was gonna say, I wonder if my brother knows any of this at all, because he is currently stationed in Okinawa.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Yeah.
And he was previously stationed
At Fort
at
Lewis?
Fort Lewis. Yeah.
Yeah, he probably does then. He probably does. Ask your brother about it. See if he knows.
All right, I'm gonna have to do that.
All right. What do you guys want for Christmas?
A lot of the stuff that I want cannot be purchased with money, which is unfortunate. But
I hear that.
it would be nice to actually finally get something from ThinkGeek. I have never purchased a single thing from that website, and I've always meant to, because there's a lot of shiny stuff on there.
As
Neither have
sad
I,
as it is,
actually.
when you said it's something that you can't buy with money, I was about to joke. I was like, I thought you already had a girlfriend.
Nope, don't have one of those either.
I don't think you can technically buy one.
Well,
They're like, you can buy a girlfriend for a night, and I'm like, no, honey, that's an escort.
although if you theoretically, with a certain amount of money, you could probably call them whatever you want, but still, semantics.
An escort is an escort.
An escort by any other name is still an escort.
An escort by any other name would taste just as sweet.
Ho!
I'm just saying, it's legal in Vegas. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the only place I'm going to this month is Connecticut or New York, so
Yeah, there you go. I may have to fly up there sometime and visit you guys. That's what it is. I'll fly up there and visit once we become like popular and make decent money. Like if I can afford plane flights on the regular. That's what I'll do.
or you could just pull what I did and drive like the 14 hours up.
I've done it. I've almost done that before. Like I've gotten pretty close to that. I drove all the way up to Baltimore from Nashville. So wasn't that far after Baltimore. It's like, hey, you only got a couple more hours. I was like, that's 10 hours. And it's like, just 4 more and you'll make it.
Not counting traffic or
Well,
construction.
yeah, that was definitely DC to Baltimore. That whole thing was traffic and construction. Though I've been through worse. I've driven through Ohio. That is the construction capital of the United States. Their state flag is the orange cone.
Sounds about right.
Will looks like he died. It's like he got shot in the head and he was just like, yep, headshot.
Well, he has been playing Borderlands for a good portion of the day, so you never
The new
know.
I
pre-sequel?
tried to shoot other people in the head.
Are you playing the pre-sequel?
Finished it already. I was going back and doing DLC in Borderlands 2.
No one at my house has it, and we really want it.
Which one?
So there you go, boys and girls. If I can't have an Xbox One, at least get me Borderlands the pre-sequel. Nobody, like, we have Borderlands 1 and 2, we just don't have the pre-sequel, because, yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Weird getting used to the low gravity.
Oh, yeah,
And then weird going back to having normal gravity after getting used to the low gravity and going, oh, I can't jump a mile in the air anymore.
Right?
I developed this whole strategy of, oh, an enemy's charging me. Let me just jump way over them and shoot them as they run underneath me. That doesn't work when you're on Pandora.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing that really pissed me off about November, man. I could not go to. I unfortunately could not make the trip to Chattanooga, which is like an hour and a half away from where I live, for Enemy Blast Chattanooga, where they actually had Ashley Birch as one of the guests, and I was like, Tiny Tina, no! So I didn't go. I was totally gonna get her to sign my Borderlands 2. But I didn't get to go.
Maybe for next Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody's going to give me Ashley Birch for next Christmas? That's awesome. I'll take it. I was like, I promise to make chocolate chip cookies. That's all I'm saying.
Who can say no to chocolate chip cookies?
Real badasses eat chocolate chip cookies. Uh,
I just want art for Christmas if it has to be. Well, I want a lot of things for Christmas, but if we're talking creative,
yeah.
I want art of my characters. That would be awesome.
Presumably of the roommate characters, or
Mm-hmm. Yes.
My roommate's a stripper?
Yes.
Yes.
I have some art for like Maxie and Cheryl, and there's one piece that I commissioned a while back that has Marcus and Tara in it. That's all I have. And some of the pieces are not suitable to view on this podcast, so
Not safe for work.
well, considering some of the content of that story, that is
yeah,
not
the story
overly
isn't
surprising.
exactly suitable for this podcast either. So
Oh no! I remember shows that I've been on before. I was saying that going through and editing episode 35 this week was really a nostalgic trip for me, because that was like so long ago, because I didn't realize I was on that episode, and then I was on that episode, and I was like, how long ago was this? And then I mentioned that we'd only had internet for 2 weeks, and I'm like, holy crap, that's in March.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were on that either until I went to the YouTube video and you were on the thumbnail image. Like, really? What?
It's so weird. I'm sitting here like editing, and I'm like, okay, I finally got I know the differences between these two voices, and I go through and I'm editing, and then all of a sudden I hear my voice, and I'm like, wait, what? Oh God, they brought that bastard in. I love when I'm editing, because nobody can actually hear what I'm saying. Like, as I'm editing, I am calling myself every horrible name in the book. Like, Richie, would you just shut up? Oh my God.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same scenario I have when I'm editing them, but it's more like, why is this person so quiet? Why is there so much silence? Oh God, it's the background noise of the fan again. God damn it.
And that's just hard to get rid of, too. I didn't even realize that at that particular point in time, someone was doing laundry. So at one point in time, and that was back when I was in the tiny room over there, and the washer's like right next to the door. And so at one point in time, there's like a couple of parts that I was editing that I had to just highlight my dialogue to kill out the washing machine noise. And yeah, that's a lot of fun. Yeah. I tried my best to kind of keep it muted, but yeah, there's some may have squeaked in there. Laundry was needing to be done.
Someday when we have our own headquarters, we'll have proper space for all of our recordings, so we won't have to worry about a lot of that stuff.
Right.
That's more Terror 2015 stuff.
Terror 2015.
Yeah, that's the code name for all of our endeavors for next year.
Oh, I was just going to say, 2015 doesn't look that terrible. You got Avengers 2, Star Wars 7. Things are looking up. It starts off with season 3 of Kuroko's Basketball. I'm like, yeah, anime, manga, all this good shit. All my nerdy dreams are coming true in the early 2000s.
Yeah, who would have thought that we'd have gotten all of these movies and content that we've gotten within even the last 5 years alone?
The guys working on Kingdoms 3 for over at Square Enix said that it's not off the table that they may put Marvel characters and Star Wars characters in Kingdom Hearts now, because Disney owns all of it.
That's just weird.
I'm just saying, I would love to see Iron Man blow up some Heartless. But they're saying it's not off the table, and I was like, that sounds cool, but it also sounds incredibly wrong.
Oh, we shall see. If money can be made from it, they'll think about it.
Oh, Peter O'Malley. Perfect troll response to hating on your manga is, where's the manga you made? I'm like, we haven't finished making it.
Let's see. The third topic we had is from Justin, who is not here. So, surprise, we get to shelve that one.
Mhm.
That's normal. Which means it's time for the productivity segment. Yay! Everyone's favorite segment.
Right.
Alright, I'll kick things off as I do. I actually did have some productive moments. So, I mean, as I mentioned before, the whole 20,000 words in 3 days to defeat Nano, that was a pretty good high and pretty damn productive. That's, I think, the first time I've had over a 10,000 word day before, or except for the 100,000 word year. That had a 10,000 word day in it. But since then, I do not want to do that ever again. And to balance that out, since last Wednesday, everyone I know has fallen apart in some way, shape, or form, and it is depressing and draining and definitely a low.
Yeah, definitely. I I feel like I should have put that one in my list there. I told Richie where I was when I received his email uh, about the doing the music. that was that email was definitely needed.
The only other one I had on my list was I've outlined a lot of article ideas and got an interesting new plot bunny about souls. And I even started compiling some resources for an academic paper, basically all through the nano mindset. But that was another nice productive high to balance out everyone falling apart, myself included, for that matter. I was not immune to this. How did Will fare since last week?
Excuse me. Well, like I said, I finished the latest chapter of My Roommate's a Stripper, and that's up and live for people to read. I think it was Saturday I put it up. Friday or Saturday. Wasn't Thursday that I wanted it to be, but it was in November, so that's what I wanted ultimately. So yay, that's definitely a high. Like I said, I wrote almost 14,000 words. Apparently, I just found that out now, but it's more than I thought I had written. So I'm also going to count that as kind of a high-ish. I mean, it's not 50,000, but I've done that before last year, so.
Well, you wrote more than you expected. I'd
That
consider
I
that
did.
pretty impressive.
And then mostly I spent the rest of the week just surviving life. Because life is a big scary monster with sharp teeth and claws and breathes acid fire.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
Well, hooray for surviving.
Well, it's questionable.
No dying allowed in your contracts that haven't been written or signed yet.
You probably may have to put that in my contract and make me sign that.
I'm going to have to put it in all of our contracts.
There's a little subclause down there, no dying.
I'll get on that. I've been called the devil on multiple occasions, so it seems I'm good with details.
We do not have a necromancer on staff yet, so no dying allowed. How did Calvin
No
fare?
dying without a decent fight, anyway.
Yeah.
No dying without the ability to come back as an undead and get back to work, damn it.
Just remember to carry your phoenix down and everything will be okay.
Why does all this text just say brains, brains, brains?
That's the secret project. Don't talk about that one. How did Calvin fare since last week?
I actually
in regards
have
to productivity.
like a few, like quite a few. So I mean, like more than I actually wrote down, which was more than 3.
Well, go
So
for it.
let's see. Let's see. Like I mentioned earlier, the new Minecraft videos. I posted that on the FCW YouTube channel. I'm very excited to have that done. And now I'm working on the next video editing project, CJ. I told you about that already.
Yes.
that one is not going to take forever and several days like the Minecraft videos did, thankfully.
Yay.
On the actual creative front, I'm pretty much finished writing lyrics to a new song that I actually like. So somewhere in the near future, I'm going to be posting a song where I actually sing.
Nice.
Holy crap.
Very nice.
That's going to be exciting, /frightening, /nerve-wracking, /... But I look forward to it. Excuse me. Let's see, what else? I got a little out of hand with the Black Friday purchases, but I feel like it was definitely worth it given the fact that I am OTP Panga's new composer and sound engineer. A couple of days ago, I purchased basically a giant sound patch bundle from this indie sound recording company. Like, it was 39 sound patches, loops, and like individual sounds. The entire bundle was worth $1,049. I got it for $99.
Kind of hard to beat that.
Yeah, I couldn't pass that one up.
I only take responsibility for hiring him. All the rest of that's all on him then.
Yeah. I feel like you hired me like at the opportune time because creativity has been at a pretty significant high for the year. Like, creativity was at basically a complete lull this entire year up until about the end of October. There was something else I was going to talk about, but I forgot.
Not on the list.
Because it's not on the list. Let's see. I guess this could count as productivity. I'm upgrading my internet from DSL to a cable internet.
Yay.
Yay.
That'll certainly make meetings a lot easier.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, crap. I've had DSL for the last 11 years.
Yeah,
I don't know how I survived that long.
I'm sure the dinosaurs thought that at one point in time, too.
I actually don't know how I'm still live streaming with this DSL.
I was wondering that as well.
Well, it's more stable than some other guests that we've had on over the past year or two, so it does the trick.
I think my internet has always been cable internet. Ever since I started the shows, I've always been on, like, even episode 1 of Konoha Corner was all cable internet. So it's just changed from one cable provider to the next. Though things are looking good for 2015 in regards to if we do move back to Nashville, because the foundations have officially been laid as far as the laws and the signing of documents and things for Google to start setting up their influence in the greater Nashville area with Google Fiber. So as soon as that's a reality, back to Nashville I go.
I am you have no idea how super jelly I am right now.
To be quite honest, that's the Christmas gift I want 2015. Google Fiber. that's the legit stuff right there.
I think it'll be a good 60 years before Google Fiber makes it out my way.
Yeah.
It all depends on how it all depends on how the net neutrality thing goes.
Well, it's more a matter of I live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, well,
And equally
Uh,
middle of nowhere to Will. Just different parts.
Hmm.
different sides of nowhere.
Yeah,
CJ is west middle of nowhere, and I'm east middle of nowhere.
yeah.
and I will never see Google Fiber because of all the goddamn monopolies that the cable companies have in the five-borough area.
No,
But I don't
no,
live in New York anymore.
it's not. It's not a monopoly. It's an oligopoly. Monopolies are illegal. Oligopolies are just legal. It's the same thing, but
Well,
between 5 different companies, they've officially eliminated competition.
and the part that sucks is not even it's basic. It's not. It's a duopoly. There's only two cable companies in all of the five boroughs.
Oh no! That's how it's specifically set up.
And like
I'll say
and
that. I'll say this for you. If you want a good definition of what's really going on, check out John Oliver on Last Week Tonight talking about net neutrality. That is it right there. That's all you need to see, and it's up on YouTube, so you guys can
I've
watch.
seen that one.
Yeah,
I've seen that one.
it's basically saying, sure, Taco Bell gave me diarrhea. Sure, GM tried to kill me. But Comcast and Time Warner are the worst. Like, they're ranked below them in customer service. It's like horrible. Horrible.
That actually makes me thankful that Time Warner is not in my area.
Well, the way that it works out is this. In places that Comcast is not available, Time Warner is available. In places where Time Warner isn't available, Comcast is available.
I don't deal with either of them. Comcast is actually not in New York. Somehow Comcast managed to not make it to New York. Well, that's because Cablevision and Time Warner got here first.
Mhm.
Well, Comcast and Time Warner are owned by the same parent company, so technically, yeah, they are.
Wait, really?
I think we were talking about productivity during the week.
Mm.
Mm.
Wow.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that's my podcasting host kicking in. Like, I'm used to that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take over your show, man.
You already have enough shows as it is. No more for
I
you.
don't want to take on more responsibility than I already have. I'm overworking myself enough.
Mm. The next segment we had is the inspiration.
Just skip me. I see how it is.
Well, if you have some productivity stuff you'd like to talk about since last week, by all means.
Well,
Every time I actually ask a guest, they get all flustered and panic, but I forgot that you're actually pretty good with coming up with stuff on the fly. So by all means, roll with it.
well, sadly, as far as writing goes, there was no productivity with that this week. I am having a meeting with an artist later, but we kind of lost our artist that we had for like a couple of days at the beginning this week. They were like, because of school and family, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. And I was like, crap. But on the plus side, we did pick up a audio engineer this week, so that's good. We have had a meeting or two, but the sad part is Caleb's internet is what it is, so
Yeah.
he drops off sometimes on Skype calls, which is actually the most dependable way to have a meeting with him. But yeah, it becomes a bit difficult when internet connection isn't all that stable, and we're not able to always be on together. I mean, I try to make sure that both creative writers are on at the same time that I'm doing any kind of discussion about the writing for the story. But I mean, we do have the plot points and everything. It's just we have a lot of new characters that we're introducing, and we didn't really want to create new characters without an artist there because we want the artist to be part of the creation and design and concept of this story so far. We don't want them to feel like, oh, I'm just doing art for your story. Like, I want them to also be involved in the creative process as well. So we stagnated there for a while because we started losing artists left and right. And I realized this week that I'm throwing both my hands in the air and saying to hell with it. I'm gonna just start writing these as soon as we're gonna create the characters without an artist because I want to at the very least have 5 chapters done by January, which I mean I wrote chapter 2 in like a day and a half. So I know that it's feasible to do this. It's not that big a deal. It's just coming up with new characters and stuff. How do we want those characters to be? Are they human? What, if not, what kind of species are they going to be? So it's those kind of conversations and things that we've got to have. As far as this week, no, I was kind of as far as going and researching new anime and manga and kind of picking out musical themes, and I did compose for a little bit, but unfortunately my keyboard won't work with my computer. It won't read on my computer, so I can't just put those tones straight in there. So I actually had to take my mic and put it next to the keyboard speaker and play them track by track, how I had them, and then put them together in Audacity. And they sound very filtered and muffled because, of course, they had to come through the speakers and stuff. So not quite the quality I wanted, but at least it's the tones I needed to hear. And
those 8.
Definitely the tones I wanted to hear, because when I have them in specific tones instead of just being in Fruity Loops, which is sadly the only audio program I really have right now, yeah, it's a lot better when you have those multiple tones, because I need to hear the sound of the woodwinds mixing with the brass and the strings and everything, because it gives it a much different feeling when you can hear all those different tones put together. It sounds a lot better that way. But I think most of this week my productivity has been in research, whether it's story-wise, art-wise, or music-wise. It's all pretty much been research, which is great for me because that means I get to watch anime and read manga all week. So good stuff. I got into several new series that I would highly recommend. If you've got Crunchyroll, check out Haikyuu. Season 1 is done, so you guys can check out. I think it's all 25 episodes of that. Sadly, the other series that I got into is not done with with their first season. It's ongoing, and they've only got 9 episodes up so far, but it's really, really good. Trinity 7. I'd suggest checking that one out too. I did start reading the manga for Trinity 7 because I was like, I need more story because this is so good. I did the same with Haikyuu, because if you get me into an anime and I've gone past 5 episodes, odds are when I get caught up, I'm going to start checking out the manga because I need the story. I need to see the progression. I need to see how this continues, especially if you leave me on a cliffhanger like Haikyuu did. And I was like, no.
Or if it's something like Attack on Titan, which takes forever in regards to the anime.
Yeah, I really did not like watching the Attack on Titan anime because I was already well past it in the manga. I was current with the manga, and then the anime episodes came out, and it was just like, oh my god, it's like I'm watching everything happen in slow motion. They drag so much, and it bothered me to no end. But yeah, that was my big gripe about Attack on Titan. And then yeah. That was the majority of my productivity, was sitting around being a couch potato. I did exercise enough, so my one of the few things I've been working on with regards of getting myself back into shape. I've been basically every time I've gone into to take a shower, I basically exercise in the hot water because it causes me to sweat more, which is what I need. I need to sweat more and get that water weight down. So the muffin top has become a mini muffin. So that's the majority of my productivity there. I'm done. By the way, thank you for that link, Calvin. That's awesome. I hope it stays at that price when we can afford it.
Yeah.
I doubt it, but hey.
That is a much sweeter price.
Yeah. Maybe I can pick that up the next time I do some work for you guys.
Yeah.
If the price remains at that.
Well, rolling from productivity, now it's time for the inspiration segment that Justin created. Has there been anything that has inspired you over the past week, and how? In regards to me, it's been the whole mindset for this week. I keep changing it every week. This time around, it was controlled chaos rather than chaotic control. So I want less of the unreliable levels of control where sometimes it works, most of the time it doesn't, and more of the this is what I can handle or this is what I can affect. Everything else, it's out of my hands or someone else's, so be it. And while that's easy to say, it's hard to actually stick to. But that's kind of what's been inspiring me to get through this week. And I think that's going to hold true for a little while too.
Mm.
How about Will?
I got nothing. Just keep swimming.
He's not inspired at all.
Rolling down the show notes list, how about the Calvin?
One thing that's definitely been inspiring me is the. I'm pretty sure at this point it's in the hundreds. The amount of fonts I've come across through like various ridiculously hard to pass up sales I've been finding on like My Font and Creative Market. Like all these fonts are just fantastic and are like really like getting lots of sparks going. I think I showed you guys this font called Pontiac sometime last week.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I purchased that one.
Nice.
And I was very close to purchasing a couple more today, but then I realized that the ridiculous sale that they have on both those fonts is going to be for the entire month, so I'm going to purchase that with another paycheck. But like a lot of these fonts are like relatively new, and since they're new, they're going for like unrealistically discounted prices, like 70, 80, 85% off, 90% off. Like, are you kidding me? I have to take this.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say no to that.
Well, I'm pretty sure I'll be going into debt in the name of creativity. Oh wait, I'm already in debt. Never mind.
Along with the rest of us. You're in good company.
At least I'll have a little bit more to show with this debt here.
And by any chance, has there been some inspiration in Richie's life over the past week?
Yeah. A lot of it has been musical inspiration, which is generally how I write anyway. My writing process is, I don't know, it could be normal, it could be strange, it all depends on how you write. But for me, usually music will kind of create a scenario in my head, and that's how I get my writing done. A lot of it has been anime OSTs specifically for me. There are some themes in Pokemon and Haikyuu that have really kind of like given me inspiration for how I want to write certain scenes in Chapter 4 and 5. So musical inspiration is always a thing that is a must for me as far as writing goes. Sometimes I can have lyrics, it just depends on which ones. I had a Sailor Moon fan fiction that the ending, the final battle was completely written to the remix of Crawling by Linkin Park, just because I loved how the strings and that were done, and it seemed so ethereal, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Yeah. But music always sets the mood and inspires me when writing whether it's character dialogue or a specific location. Sometimes I'll just hear something and then immediately I can just visualize the location and the scenario and the setting, what time of day it is, and like it all just kind of pops into my head, and I have to type out what I'm seeing in my head. So I've definitely got a lot of inspiration from that, and I've got some kind of interesting plot devices that I've seen in some of the shows and the series that I've been watching and reading. So I'm always inspired when I read manga and I watch anime or when I'm listening to music. So I still can't get Shia LaBeouf live out of my head, but that's because the whole scenario is so funny. Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf. Just that's brilliant. It's brilliant. And I do realize that it's basically a big homage to Citizen Kane at the same time, but
Okay,
to
so
me,
you did catch that.
oh yeah, it's absolutely, well, the whole voiceover part, the whole part where he's standing in front of the mic and he's delivering actual dialogue about what's happening, that's absolutely Orson Welles in his younger years. And then the part at the end with the clapping, that's totally a scene
Yes.
from Citizen Kane. So there you go. There were
All
Citizen
right,
Kane.
so that wasn't me. I
No,
did.
no, I got that
I
too.
totally caught that.
Yeah. It was there. There were people commenting on the video in the comments and stuff that were like, "Oh my God, it's so much Citizen Kane," and I'm like, "I know." Yeah, I actually ended up downloading it legally, so there we go. I paid $1 for it because you can. It's one of those downloads where you can name your price and like the lowest price you can pay is $1, and I'm like, I have $1. I don't have anything more than that, but I have $1. Click mine. And so I was able to buy it for $1, and so it's on my iTunes now in my YouTube playlist, and I'm like, yeah, so cool. I loved it. So I'm sitting there playing solitaire while listening to the horrible things that this Shia LaBeouf character are doing. Even though they're saying it's Shia LaBeouf, you know it's a character type that they're talking about. But it's basically like if Shia LaBeouf were Slender Man and a cannibal at the same time. It's basically kind of what it is, and it's so hilarious. Like randomly, suddenly, but you can do jujitsu, and it's like what? Random?
Question mark.
Yeah. So I was playing Free Cell a little earlier today, which is what I usually play to that song, and I'm sitting there playing it, and like I don't have any music going, and I'm like, I'm sitting there thinking about every time I play Free Cell now, I think about that song and where in that song I should be as far as scene wise. It's beautifully written as far as like storytelling goes. So I'm just sitting there. Oh wait, you got one stubby leg and it's bleeding, but you made it to the cottage. But you look in and oh my God, there's Shia LaBeouf. I'm like, I'm supposed to be paying attention to this game, and all I'm doing is playing out the scenario in my head. It's horrible. So if it wasn't already proof that, yeah, I am a horrible human being.
Yeah, so are we all. So you're in good company, or horrible company, I guess it would be.
Well,
And with that, we would normally roll into the Muse Food segment, but due to various unforeseen circumstances and complications, we have not compiled them for this week, let alone posted them, so we're going to have to skip that this time round. If you're listening to this in the future, chances are we've fixed it retroactively, so they'll probably be on the website and you won't have to worry, but for the recording, we got nothing.
Oops.
There are reasons which we will not put on recordings, but it is what it is. We'll be back on track for next week, so don't worry about that. But because we don't have a Muse Food segment, that means that all we have left is events, and since it's the end of the year, we don't have any events for the rest of the year. The next one we have up isn't until 2015, which is your mini-con in January, which I forget exactly where it's based, but somewhere in Connecticut, because that's where most of us are. And then, of course, Kineticon, but that's all the way in July, so we're not even going to acknowledge that yet. Because, no. Oh, come on. Where is your Minicon? Your Minicon is... Oh, Meriden. Meriden, Connecticut. Nice. That's convenient. So, yeah. It's all in the show notes if you want to check out where we'll be when. Once we have anything officially declared, we'll toss it up there. We have a lot of other ones in the works that we're still trying to pin down and coordinate, so keep an eye out for them. And since it is the holiday season, we encourage you to check out our Etsy store, because Ed has been busy making sure that all the shiny baubles are still up there and available for purchase. So all of our button designs, magnets, bookmarks, stickers, our little Ninja Cube writer's blocks, they're all up there and ready to be purchased by you. Just in time for the holidays. Go check them out. And that's it. That's a show. That's all we got. Nothing else. All we have left, really, technically. I guess I lied. We do have attributions. Who are all of us crazy peoples, and where can you find us on the internets? If you want to deal with me, I don't know why you would, but if you do, you can track me down on my personal Tumblr, fancypantswolf.tumblr.com. You can 50-50 shot track me down on the Fairy Tale podcast as Makarov if life doesn't get in the way. Although Nano is over, my ID over there is still YGJunkie85, because that's who I was like 14 years ago. Deal with it. And all of the other ways you can track me down are in the show notes and on the website, so feel free to catch me if you can. How about Will? Where can people find you?
Mostly, you can just find me on my Tumblr account at darkhom.tumblr.com. It's darkhom.tumblr.com. I do tag any not safe for work stuff I post or reblog as NSFW. You can also find stuff about My Roommate's a Stripper at myroommatesastripper@tumblr.com. And obviously that's typically 18 plus.
Unmute. How about Calvin?
Excuse me. Let's see. You can find me on Tumblr in 2 different places. You can find me at Instacal, where I just basically post everything I see and like. And you can find me at stateofcalvin.tumblr.com, which is my creative Tumblr, where I post basically all my creative endeavors. But it looks kind of skimpy now, but there'll be plenty more down the line. Hopefully, more sooner than later. And if you were on Twitter or Instagram, you can find me at CCWII. So there.
And how about Richie? Where can people find you?
Well, there's a lot of places. I guess for OTP Manga, you can follow us on Twitter at otpmanga.com. You can follow us or subscribe to us on YouTube when we actually put up videos on our YouTube channel, which will just be OTP Manga. You can email us, otpmanga@gmail.com. For Fairy Tale stuff, you can follow us on Twitter at FairyTaleCast, fairytalepodcast.facebook.com for our Facebook, or actually the other way around. I think it's facebook.com/fairytalepodcast. Yeah. It's fairytalepodcast.tumblr.com for our Tumblr. We're on Reddit on the Fairy Tale subreddit, so make sure to pop by and check that out if you're on Reddit. God, so many things. To check out the shows, though, of course, make sure to check out our YouTube page, Fairy Tale Podcast. It's where all our live shows are put up, and we've got quite a few of them. But we're also on Google Plus, Fairy Tale Podcast. We're just kind of a little bit everywhere, but our website is fairytalepodcast.com. So happy I don't have to say WordPress anymore. That eliminates so much of the name, and it just felt
Yes.
so long and congested. Now it's just fairytalepodcast.com, and it's being updated constantly. We finally updated the banner so that when you actually go to the page, it's not the giant banner as the full freaking thing. You've actually got like a decently sized banner, like it's supposed to look like. And we've got all the information from all the podcasters. All the swag is up and categorized appropriately, as well as the episodes are being updated on the main page, and we have anime, manga reviews, all sorts of stuff on there. So make sure to go and check that out. Eventually, I will start posting videos back up on Crunchyroll and earning our keep on our Crunchyroll account. I just gotta start reviewing new episodes, and that'll happen whenever I feel like turning on my camera and just doing it. But I'll have to make show notes for that. But yeah, that's a lot, pretty much a majority of the places that you can find us. Probably not all of them, but yeah, whatever. I think I have to go through and fix the website thing on a lot of them that still say .wordpress.com. But yeah, that's it for us. That's all. That's all that stuff, all that jazz. But definitely make sure to follow us on Twitter at OTP Manga, because we post up a lot of updates, or I generally try to, and when we start getting concept art rolling in, I try to share that just to generate enthusiasm and cravings for our manga. Yeah, cravings. That's the appropriate word. I was gonna say hype, but that sounded weird. I'm like we're a manga, not a portion of the music industry, so I don't need hype. Nor are we a movie that's coming out. And let's face it, there's already enough hype for movies already. So.
All right. With that wraps up episode 70 of Word Ninjas Live. Full coverage writer's endeavor. If you want to check out any of the past episodes, they're all up on the YouTube channel. Search for Full Coverage Writers, or the short URL is wnja.us/YouTube. Thanks to Calvin and his mini URL sorcery that I still don't quite understand how it works. And we also have the full archive up on our website, fcwriters.com. It has all of the show notes for each episode, so if you want to see what we are talking about or any of the interviews and other whatnots, it's there, plus all of our various other crazy endeavors. We're updating that regularly whenever we can, so check back regularly. And that is a show. Tune in next Wednesday for episode 71, when hopefully other members will be back so we can get the full round of what has happened in November and everything like that. But until then, have a good night, everyone. Peace out.
The cool part is like what the Indiegogo is going towards is actually getting programs that we desperately need for art, which would be manga studio, and
you
it's a
don't want to
great
just
program.
sketch it out all on paper, every single panel?
Well, it's not just that. There's also there's a lot of inking and toning, and there's also actual traditional painting that goes in there, and then you have to put in like when you put in the tones, like physically putting in the tones takes so long. But the way that Manga Studio is actually set up, you can actually get all your tones, and you can actually use like the magic wand tool like you would use in Photoshop and apply specific tones, just like how an actual manga would look. And instead of that taking like a crap ton of time, because you have to lay it down there and then you have to cut away and make sure, because like clothing for one panel can sometimes take anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes depending on the panel, just with the tones. But the way that it's set up in Manga Studio now, you could get an entire page toned in 5 minutes.
Bit of a difference.
Quite a bit of a difference. So there's a reason for that, and we want to get the extended version because it comes with so many. I say it comes with all the bells and whistles, but when I say bells and whistles to everybody else, they're like, oh, the fancy shiny bits. I'm like, no, these are the insanely necessary tools that we need because they come with all the different brush types and all the different toning types and inking types that we desperately need. And it has a panel layout, like it will have specific settings so that you like if you want to make the layout for like certain pages, like you want a big one up here and then like 4 mini panels on the bottom, you can actually have that saved and set up for like any chapters that you think might need them, so you can go ahead and style out your own panel layouts and stuff like that. So it's really, really good, but unfortunately the price difference between Manga Studio 5 and Manga Studio 5 Extended is quite a bit. Manga Studio 5 is $49.99, while Manga Studio 5 Extended is $209. I know that sounds to be asked before that. Otherwise, it's just me talking, and that's just boring.
So officially, this new biggest project, at least it seems like, your new manga.
Yeah, we're making our own original manga series, or actually, it says on my lower third OTP manga, which isn't the name of any specific manga. That's just the name of like the group that we formed that is making manga. Hi Hank, how are you doing? But
kind of like how this is the Word Ninjas podcast, but it's run by full coverage writers.
Mm-hmm. In the same way, but it's it's a rather ambiguous undertaking. I like when I get to use big words. Yay. But basically the project is this. We make manga, and it can be any different form. We're not tied down to one specific one. So it's not like, you know, a Shueisha where you've got Shonen Jump and Seinen Jump, and it's primarily for boys. OTP manga, we are fans of all different types of manga, and having been fans for so long, we decided, you know, even though we love consuming this market, we want to actually create something and contribute and give something back, and you know, we'd like to at least be able to pay our bills and buy food while doing that. So that's part of why we're like, hey, we're not putting it all out for free. But when I say it's an ambitious undertaking, I mean, not only are we having to write this and draw it and put it up online, but we're also talking about scoring it, which is where Calvin comes in, and then dubbing it, which is where we're going to start getting, we're in the process of actually turning the story that we've put together so far into dialogue, a script format for voiceover. And we've got some in-house voiceover people that we've talked to who are very talented that we're going to bring on. And then that gets mixed down together, which, again, is where Calvin comes in. Because he's more or less he is our audio engineer. That is the official title. And Charles comes in a bit earlier on, usually after about the 6th or 7th draft of a chapter, because we go through a lot. That's the wonderful thing I've learned about working on Google Documents.
Good evening, ladies and menfolk. Welcome to episode 70 of Word Ninjas Live. We all made it through November, through NaNoWriMo and everything else that life tossed at us somehow. Well, theoretically all of us did. We are missing a few of our crew members due to various life reasons, but that is normal. As always, I'm your instigator of literary insanity. No productivity this time around, just insanity. Charles. And joining me, as usual, is Will.
Hello.
Calvin.
Greetings, everyone.
And our special guest for the evening, Richie.
I think I'm probably even worse down that road of insanity and not getting things done than you are, sir. So this will be interesting.
You might be in good company. I haven't really looked at the productivity segment.
Well, I mean, as far as shows go, as far as like the actual live shows, like us on the Fairy Tale podcast and stuff, yeah, I contribute to madness and mayhem. Behind the scenes, I can't believe I worked this hard to be this broke.
You're not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're in pretty good company there.
But but as I will be explaining throughout the show tonight, I'm working to change that. I'm working to fix that.
Hmm. Yes, Richie is on tonight because he has a fancy new project that has kind of pulled in all sorts of people lately.
Include the people that are currently on the show, actually.
2 out of the 3.
2 out of the 3. I'm not doing too bad. Will, I'll find something for you. I swear. Got a got a secondary side project that could use an editor's hands as well. So there we go. As far as writing goes, who knows if whenever we finally get everything up and running to get an Indiegogo campaign and it does well, who knows? We may be able to hire on some more people and start some more stuff. I'm being so vague about this. I don't know why.
Well, because some of those projects haven't really kicked off yet, but
Well, I can go into further detail about that and everything. Um, but yeah, questions has off how long of a period of their life this could take up, and so it's definitely not for the casual artist. This is a thing that we're wanting to go on for quite some time, and we obviously we want this to become someone's living. Like this is how I'd be glad to take a starving artist and make them not so starving anymore, especially if it does well. But the project that we're working on right now, we have one manga called Infinity's Light, and that's the one that we're all working on. It's kind of a I say it's seinen mostly because once we really start getting started, because we've only got a certain amount of chapters put down, but pretty soon you're going to start seeing just how much seinen it really is. Right now it feels very shonen, but we're going to go full seinen very soon. So it may go back and forth between seinen and shonen at points. And yeah, I don't know what else to say on that particular portion. But I mean, it's not like we just want to do one manga series. We've got another one set up in the works that's shoujo, that we just got a lead writer for. I'm gonna be just kind of basically manga editing it, so I'm not even involved in the story process. It's once I look over the storyboards and I make my little critiques and things. Once that happens, that's what a manga editor would traditionally do in Japan, especially if they're confident in that person's art. They'll look at the storyboard. So in Japan they just call them names, nemu. But usually for first timers you have to bring in a full manuscript, but we're not even sure we can pull that off right now because we're still looking for artists. I have a meeting with an artist tonight actually, so always on the lookout for more of those. And best case scenario, what we're looking at is trying to have a lead character artist who does all the characters and knows the characters inside and out, because they've drawn them so many different ways, shapes, and forms, and then having at least 3 assistants to do backgrounds and stuff like that. And the whole process is streamlined so well. It goes through so fast, all the work that gets done on typing it in, and usually within a couple of days we've gone through about 6 drafts, and then about that time I'm like, okay, Charles, go ahead and take a look. He is our senior editor. That is the appropriate title.
And then like 2 weeks later I finally actually look at it, mark it up.
and that's usually when I get stuff in the email that says 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's like one email, but it's got a number beside it, and it's usually like 10 or 20, and I'm like, okay, so he's finally gone through, and I have to go and open up docs, and I mean, we try really, really hard to fix a lot of the grammar mistakes that we have on there, but they always squeak through, which is why it's good to have a senior editor as well to go through and make sure that there's not a bunch of typos and stuff. But also, what by the time we get to about the fourth draft is when I have to read it aloud to the other creative writers, because we have two creative writers on the project and the lead writer, which is me. And after we've gone through our initial, by the fourth draft, I have to start reading it aloud and see, hey, does this word work? Can you actually say that out loud pretty easily? And sometimes, dialogue doesn't sound right for like a specific character or things like that. And we'll either change that, or that's when you definitely start noticing typos in dialogue. I usually catch the ones in dialogue. It's just the ones that aren't in dialogue that we end up getting caught in with Charles, because I'm not really reading those. I'm reading dialogue. But yeah, it's a rather large undertaking, as unfortunately several of our artists have found out. We've gone through 3 artists now because it's a rather large project, and it's not that they were bad or that we didn't get along or anything. It's just that they didn't have the time for that. There's either work or school or family that makes it to where they don't have as much time to invest in this project as they'd like to, or they realize how big of an undertaking and how much, if it does well and it takes